I had to fight for my mom in the hospital and in the courtroom. I'm gonna have to tell this part of the story.
Hey, baby girl.
It's Klo.
Klo With
The Fro.
Hey, Klo.
Hey, sweet pea. It's Klo.
Klo With The Fro.
With the Fro.
Klo Hey.
Oh snap, is that Klo?
It's Klo.
I remember when I started my journey for real in advocacy was after my mom had a second brain bleed. It's too much to go into, but just know exactly 1 week after being in the hospital, when she was starting looking like she was getting better, her last CT scan had looked good, something else had occurred, and she ended up bleeding in her head again. And they had to send her back down to the OR. So when I say I have a walking miracle right now, I have, my mom is truly a living miracle. But it landed us, that second brain bleed literally just landed us back. It was like a clock reset, and we were back to day one again with her being on a ventilator, being sedated, had to run down for surgery. And in that moment, not only did I have a real talk with God that day, I was like, Lord, if you bring her back up here, I was like, because we can't do this. She's suffering at this point. But if you bring her back up here, I know that she's going to be okay, and that I will fight for her while we are here, and she's going to be all right. When she came back up from that OR, it's just like, not even before she even came back up. You remember things as you think about it. That I had my moment. I'm screaming, I'm fussing because they're coming in the room talking about she's bleeding in her head again, and I'm hollering, I'm crying. I had my talk with the Lord, and I just remember something in me just locked in. After I had my little moment, we've told the family what was going on. And they took her down to the OR. And I remember I left the ICU. I went and I found a corner somewhere downstairs. I just, something in me just was like, okay. And I just started writing down all these notes and things that I could remember from the days that we had been there. All the things that I wanted to remember, the questions that I wanted to ask. It was in that moment that the fight to advocate, it clicked. Something switched in me. I was like, I have to be better at this. This is my job. And from then on, baby, the people in that hospital, sick of me. They were sick of me, and I do not care. I do not care. You have to be the one to speak up, no matter what it looks like, no matter what it sounds like. I had to get over. Who cares? You think I have an attitude? And do. Yes, I have an attitude because my mom is sitting here and nobody's come to give her oral care today. Or why is no one mitigating, her blood pressure spikes, whatever it was. I was going to be the one to speak up and say something. I got names. I started looking up the acronyms. I started educating myself. I became a neuro student overnight. All right. I was going to remember anything that I had to. And that was such a big shift for me in this journey. And it had to happen, and I just want to encourage somebody to make that shift earlier, Don't go in there being timid. They might have you got your little degree and you think you know everything. Okay, no, they don't. All right. Especially when you're the one who's been sitting next to that hospital bed. You have been watching your loved one. You've seen that board. First thing you want to do, learn about the monitor. Learn all those things. Watch your loved one, because you are with them more than the doctor is. The doctor barely sees them. The nurses, if they don't have that many patients, they see them. But you get a rotating nurse, a rotating doctor. Trust yourself. Trust that you know also what is best for them. And if you don't know, find resources. I'm not a big AI person, But Microsoft Copilot was my second best buddy, because my first, I want to shout out Tim Childs. Thank you. I call him my side doctor. I know everybody might not be blessed to have someone in the healthcare field who exactly specialized in neurology. And he was able to always be an ear for me, to give me advice, to look over my mom's reports and scans. I don't have enough words to say thank you to Tim, but I just want to take a moment and say thank you right now. I love you so much. But I used him as a resource. I used AI as a resource, and then just my own spirit as a resource to know and understand and believe that I knew what I was talking about too. And I wish I just would have kicked in earlier, but I can say I'm proud of myself for fighting as hard as I did for my mom in the hospital. How do I tell this part of the story? I don't know how to tell this, Lord. I'm struggling. I feel like I'm trying to save face, because I know that families love to be hush hush and keep the things that they don't think people need to know quiet. But this part was loud for me. This is something that I had to go through, that I had to fight. And this is my story. It was my battle, and it was one I didn't want to go through. On top of fighting for my mom in the hospital, I had to fight for her in a courtroom. And it didn't have to be like that. But there were two things that made it a struggle. So the first thing, paperwork wasn't in place to begin with. Even though we all knew that my mom verbally has said before, she had it down in her chart that she would want me to be her healthcare proxy. She has said that, her girls would be the one to make decisions for her. None of that matters when it comes down to legality. None of that mattered. And so that was the first thing that was wrong. We did not have the right paperwork in place for me and my sister to be able to make decisions for my mom in a time like this where she couldn't make decisions for herself. So that was the first thing. The second part was having to go to court. We would have had to done that either way, right? So the paperwork wasn't in place. We went to court. We put in to be, temporary guardians of her because she can't make decisions for herself. She was on a ventilator, and suffered a brain injury. And so we could have just went there, put in the paperwork, showed up, judge sees her daughters, sounds good, here you go. But it ended up being a battle when you have other people who wanted to also be co-guardians and put in guardianship for her. And so that made our lives a bit of a living hell. Like, it sucked. It really did. It sucked. And that was the two things that I had to battle with. If you could take away just one thing from this series, I want everyone to just pay attention to this. It is so important to have conversations with your loved one about what you want. What do you want in case this happens to you? In case you can't speak for yourself, who's going to make the decisions for you? You need to get three things: a power of attorney, a healthcare proxy, and a living will or an advance directive. You need to have these documents legalized, okay? It is not enough to just say, oh yeah, of course I'd want that person to do it. Or it's not enough that, it's been said, it's been discussed. Words do not matter when it comes down to a medical emergency. The only thing that matters is legal documents. And sadly, I had to learn that the hard way. Fighting for someone that you love, when you know you're doing it with good intentions, is nothing to say sorry for. I am proud of the way that I was an advocate for my mom. I don't regret anything I've said. I don't regret standing up for her. I don't regret putting my foot down when it came to respecting her wishes and doing what she would have wanted, because I know that I was doing everything with that mindset of this is what my mom would have wanted. And with that, I can rest easy. I'm proud that I fought for her and I didn't give up. I didn't grow weary. I didn't let it get to me. I didn't just say whatever. I can't do this anymore. I'm out. I wasn't going anywhere, because being an advocate is pushing past everything else to fight for the person that you love. And I hope that when she watches these back one day and she's got all her, faculties about her, that she's like, yep, that's my baby. That building has a lot of memories, not great ones. And it's really cool how I can walk past it now with my mama in tow. Feeling real good and grateful.